Trust Electric Heating again on Ask the Inventor. The first thing that I want to cover is we've changed the way that we actually interact with you guys. So we're now using a platform called Demio, as opposed to the social media or Facebook Live. We find it's a lot easier for a lot of our customers that are out there, or potential customers, because they don't have socials and various other platforms to work on. The next thing, as you can see, we have changed location. So we are not over in the warm, lovely building full of heaters. We're now over in the warehouse, as you can hear with all the noise and everything else that's going on. So I'll give you a little guided tour for a quick second, if I can. So you can see back here, this wiring loom is where we build. This is one of the warehouses. Oh, it's works down there. We have benches that are put in place where all the radiators get built, and the radiators, sides, and everything else is over there. So there's a little guided tour where we are. So the first thing we're going to cover is one of the most asked questions, I suppose, is what takes place when a heating engineer or one of our heating advisors comes out to visit your request. First of all, I want to mention it's completely free. So we will come out and we'll visit and we'll give you some good solid advice. It works like this. You ring in, make the call. We'll book you in what's going to be the appropriate time for both you and us. So we're going to have at least an hour and a half to a 2 hour slot. I know it seems like a long time, but it isn't. Not to go around and measure the whole property. So you've got your 2 hour slot booked. The engineer will turn up on the day. We'll make themselves known to you, and they'll have a presenter with them. They will have a miniature radiator, so you can actually see what one of the radiators look like. That's front and back, and it is a working model, so you can plug it in, and it has got a thermostat on the side, so you get a really good feel of how it all works. Once they've gone through the presentation with you and showed you the product, they will then, room by room, walk you through your property at your request, and they will measure each of the spaces. We work to cubic capacity. So once they've measured each of the spaces with a laser, they will then be able to give a good understanding of how much heat is needed. They'll also look at things like your consumer unit, the existing heating systems that you've got put in place, whether that be storage or whether that be gas or what we call a wet system or oil. They'll take into consider all of those. At the end of that process, what we'll then do is I'll give you a quotation for your product removing and our product being put in place. They will explain all the guarantees and how they work. And then you're at a point where you've got an informed decision whether you want to go ahead with some heating or you want to consult with somebody else or ask another family member. It's purely up to yourselves. But they will leave you with a quotation, and there will be a follow-up call that will be put in place from the office just to make sure that you've got the quotation and the person that came to see you did exactly what they're supposed to be doing. So that's how that works in a nutshell. But I say do allow an hour and a half to 2 hours because there is a lot of questions. And to do that properly, we do need to be there for that period of time. So now we can get on to some questions. It's all gone quiet here as well because everybody's gone now. The warehouse guys will leave at 4 o'clock. So, okay, our trusty marketing team is still with us. They're behind the camera. And let's have some questions from the lovely Leonie.
Okay, so brace yourself. We've got quite a big question from Stuart.
Okay.
So Stuart lives in a 400-year-old barn conversion and he has an EPC rating of F. He said he's got oil boilers and small radiators. They're struggling to heat the house properly and they use cheap overnight electricity on the Intelligent Octopus tariff. So Stuart wants to know what are the insulation improvements that he could be making for the future and what would be the best heating approach to keep the house warm and efficient going forward. He does have a south-facing roof suitable for solar.
Wow, big question. Kicking it off, I couldn't be a smaller one just to get me into it then. As you suggested, installation is a key thing. A fabric-first approach is really a sensible way to do it. Unless you are desperate for heat, then obviously heat is a choice. But you can do things like IWI and EWI. So you've got internal wall insulation and external wall insulation. Both can be costly, but they're very, very good, obviously, insulating your property and stopping you from losing all the heat that you're generating. Because once you've got a system like that put in place, and you could go for secondary glazing, you can go for draft excluders to keep things simple, keeping the doors closed on each room as you're using it. But once you've got things like that in place, then it's sensible then to invest into your heating. As I said, you can do it the other way around. But if you've got a leaky building and you put heating in place, you're going to be leaking heat. That's a fact. So look at insulation. I would look at insulation first, to be perfectly honest. I think that was about it on that question, I think, wasn't it? Yeah. Next question, please.
Okay, so Barry has said, "Hi Scott, my home currently has a gas central heating system with a fairly new boiler, but he's had a lot of reliability issues with the system over the years. He doesn't want to replace it immediately, but he's interested in understanding whether switching to electric heating could be a good option in the future.
Wow.
And what should homeowners with gas systems consider if they're thinking about moving to electric?"
Right. First of all, you will always have a problem with wet systems, as we call them, and that when you've got water running through pipes, because you've always got single point of failure. If the boiler breaks, all the radiators are down. So what we recommend on this situation, and I've got a system at home that replicates this, to be honest, is a hybrid approach. And the hybrid approach does a few things. Firstly, if you remove the single point of failure, first of all, so that if the boiler goes down, you've still got heaters that you can work with that are going to keep important areas of the house warm and eliminate that risk that you've got. What it also does, it means if you get rid of some of those wet radiators on the system, it'll improve the efficiency of the boilers. It's got less work to do. You're taking a few thousand BTU away from the boiler, so it'll make it a little bit more efficient. Hybrid approach is a very sensible way to do it. What you also find as well is it's a really nice way to ease your way into the electric market, but because there's other things to consider, and that is how much load you can put on your existing system in the property, electrical load you can put into a system. So it saves you jumping in with both feet. It's just a sensible way to do it. Pick rooms that are going to be important rooms like living rooms or maybe bedrooms or places like this where it's important that you have heat if anything goes wrong. That pretty much covers that.
Okay, before we go on to the next question, we have had a comment in the chat, and it's from Graham, and he said, "Hi Scott, this is Graham, and he's watching from Wishaw, Scotland."
Oh, fantastic! And it's cold up there, I can guarantee, won't it? Wishaw, Scotland. Spent a lot of time in Scotland.
The next question we have is from Ross, and he's asked, "Are our heaters more energy efficient than a storage heater?"
That's not a black and white answer, to be perfectly honest. We come across lots of storage heaters on the marketplace today, and we do remove a lot of storage heaters. And the reason why we do so is because they're old, they're inefficient, they've probably been in for the past 30, 40 years. So we take them away because they have lost some of them efficiencies. In that situation, yes, I would say we are more efficient than a system like that. But there is some new storage heaters on the market. I won't go into names and brands, but there is some new storage heaters on the market that are very efficient, very effective. And if that's how you like to run your property on the Economy 7 tariff, they are the perfect choice. You've got to match the heating with your way of life. That's the best advice I possibly give to you. Yeah.
So we've had a question in the chat from Deborah, and Deborah said that she'd like to use our radiators for her house in France. Can she buy them from us and take them to be fitted by an electrician in France? She lives close to Leeds.
Oh, wow. Yeah, Deborah, we've had lots of people that have come to us. France, Portugal, Switzerland. Yeah, you can definitely come. You definitely come and do that. Go through the normal method, ring into the business. You can come in. We've got a marketing suite that I showed you the other week. And you can sit in there, have a cup of tea, have a cup of coffee, have a chat with one of the advisors or one of the internal advisors. We'll bring you over to the factory where I am. You can have a look at how everything's made and put together, and you can pick up your heaters and you can take them away from you. It's super easy to fit one of our radiators onto a wall. It takes a competent person, somebody that can use a drill, screwdrivers, things like this, around about 7 to 10 minutes to fit each radiator onto the wall. You've only got 2 bars. I ain't got any with me at the moment, but you've only got 2 bars and 4 little hooks that hold it onto the wall, and then it's just wiring into a switch fuse spur. So yes, it's not a problem. Not a problem at all.
So we've had a question from Lee, and Lee has asked, he wants to know what the price is, can it be paid off, and can he take it with him if he moves?
Yes, you can. The prices range. Obviously, we've got commercial prices and we've got domestic prices, so there is a variance there. But the reason why we've got that is because we are a sales organisation, an engineering and manufacturing organisation, and we do have high volumes that get put in place by some customers, universities and such forth, and businesses that take hundreds of radiators off us. The costings, they start from around about the £800 mark, so they are very competitive against things like storage heaters or other German heaters that are on the marketplace. So it is a competitive pricing bracket, and we try and keep it that. And we do offer a fantastic guarantee, and we've got trust care packages that can back up all of that as well. So yeah, and what else was part of that question? Or was that it?
That was everything.
Oh, the radiators. When you buy the radiators, yes, they're yours. If you take them with you, what we advise is you get one of our teams to come and move it from where you are to where there is a small cost, but we just want to make sure you don't take it off the wall, break it, or install it somewhere else different. If you do move somewhere else as well, the guarantee still stands. So the guarantee is with you and your product. We're not precious to that like some companies are. As long as we remove it and we go and install it, your guarantee will just carry on like it always has been. Any more questions, Leonie?
Yep. So we've had another quite long question, so brace yourself, Scott.
Okay.
From Gareth, and Gareth said, "Hi, Scott. They moved into a rural barn conversion last year. They've got loft and underfloor insulation and around 15-year-old PVC windows. They've got oil central heating, but gas isn't an option where they are. And they've got 4 kilowatt solar system and 10 kilowatts of batteries, but they're eventually going to need to replace the oil boiler. So they're looking at heat pumps and electric boilers and electric heating. But what they really want to know is about installation and maintenance costs, as well as real-world efficiency, which is things like how long it needs to run to maintain the temperature and things like that."
Right. Okay. It sounds like he's got everything pretty much sewn up there. The latter part of that question. What was the latter part of that question? I just want to be right. I'm going to give you an answer here.
Understanding the typical installation and maintenance costs for each option.
Installation is very, very, very simple. Stay there 1 second. All of our radiators come with a lid like so. And you'll see that in the back of the lid, there is 2 little notches that are taken out. These notches have been put there specifically because I come from the tools. I was plasterer, plumber, electrician, all the other things that are in place. So I fit lots of heaters, wet heaters and electric heaters, and it can be quite difficult. With this, we put these guides in place so that if you turn that upside down and you place it onto the top of the skirting board and you mark those notches in place, that is the starting point of the 2 bars that go up. It's as simple as that, and then it's 4 screws with the 2 bars. You turn that back upside down, pop it on the top. So installation is really, really simple. As I've said, 7 to 10 minutes. It's not a complicated thing. We have got QR codes that we can send to you. We've got videos that we can send to you. So you can see me installing radiators onto a wall with various other lads as well that they're fitting radiators in real time with videos. So you can see that. It's very, very simple. Was that question? Yeah, pretty much.
So Sadie has asked, she said she has some very inefficient storage heaters at her home. She's looking for a cost-effective plug-in electric heaters that will actually heat the room without bankrupting her.
Wow. We do get a lot of questions about broken storage heaters. I must say, we do get a lot of them. Well, my suggestion is get one of our guys or girls to come round. We've got both men and women out there that are heating engineers. One of them could come around and see you. They'll give you some good, solid advice. Running costs is a very difficult thing. And we always equate this to the automotive industry where they say car X is going to give you 54 miles to the tank if it's running the most perfect condition. But if you keep it in second gear and you thrash it around everywhere you go, it's not going to give you 54 miles per gallon. As is the same. If you use it in the correct way, how electric heating should be used, and that is in a smart way with the smart control, they can be very efficient. But you can also get cheaper radiators that not cost, where they will look good. Aesthetically, they'll be nice on the wall, but they won't deliver the savings that you could get from more established brands, I'd say, if I'm going to say that way. Yeah.
So Gemma has asked, what is the difference between effective and efficient?
Between effective and efficient? Well, I would when we built this radiator, I was hell-bent on effective and efficient. And the simple ways is this. Efficient can save you money. Effective gets the job done. So I'd rather have a product that's effective that keeps me warm and I can work on efficiencies afterwards. Those efficiencies would be secondary glazing, draft excluders, things like this. But I want something that's going to do the job. There's no point having product that saves you a fortune, but you're freezing cold. Effectiveness.
So Scott has asked,
Another Scott.
with everything
Hiya,
going
Scott.
on at the moment, what do you think the long-term future of home heating in the UK looks like?
So that's a really relevant question, because there's lots of things going on with government, with DESNZ and various other organisations. There's new SAP, there's a new home energy model term, there's HEM, there's a future build standard that's getting put in place. There's lots of things that are out there that are going to affect how the homeowner actually uses energy. There's talk of time of use tariffs, different pricing sections every 30 minutes. It does look quite complicated, but I think the way that the government has approached this, what's going to come out of it is a very up-to-date, a more modern way of looking at how people can heat their homes. It can't be a one solution catches all. It ain't going to be that way. And you need a radiator which is going to be flexible, demand to the grid and demand to how you want to be able to use it. So there's going to be a lot of synergy between how customers use their product and how the grid can cope with it. Because quite honestly, the grid's suffering massively, especially as you get all these people that are moving on to electric systems, and they've got EV charging and all these other things that never existed. And when the grid was first put in place many, many years ago, nobody expected it to be electric. No, it was a nonsense that you'd have an electric heater that could save you money or compete with gas or compete with oil. But yeah, and you've also got the thing as well of the oil prices. I believe are just going to go shooting through the roof. The not manufacturers, but oil producers for your oil that you get stuck in your tank at the bottom of the garden. There's talk of companies like that are just cancelling orders and making people reorder and doubling the costs. So there's all that going on in the background. It's difficult, but I think it will be for the better. How they're going to sort out how us, the public, can work with the grid and create perfect solutions. How are we doing, Leonie?
So James has asked, what should homeowners actually look for when they're comparing heating technologies?
Well, again, it's down to what you want from heating technology, and it's something that's going to suit your lifestyle. You've just got to be careful. Understand how you want heating, when you want heating, and how is that heating going to save you some money? Because there's no point having cheap tariffs that are in place that aren't going to suit how your standard of life is. If you're at work all day, or you've got somebody that's at home all day and then somebody that's at work all day, man or a woman staying at home, and you've got man or a woman at work, you've got a double demand. So you've got somebody that needs to be heated all day, which is going to pull a draw on whatever electric's being used, and you also want heat on a night time. So you've just got to look for a few simple rules and a few simple ways how you want that heating to react with you, and when you're going to be demanding heating. We use an octopus tariff at home, to be honest, and we use a cozy tariff, which means we've got some half-price electric heat on a morning just before the peak, and we have some in the afternoon, and then we have some late evenings. So it's about 8 hours of heating. We get a 50% reduced. It fits us really, really well about how we want to demand electric, and the gas system. So look at your lifestyle and build the heating around your lifestyle, not your lifestyle around the heating, because then you become a slave to the radiator. Anymore, lovely Leonie. I'll tell you what, it is freezing in this warehouse today. Absolutely freezing. Don't know how the guys cope. But we do have, on diversification with this thing, we do have heaters that we put in place there, you can see. So again, we're not afraid to say that this type of heating is perfect for this type of space. So when the guys are working at these benches, our radiators in there would be completely pointless. Although our radiators we could fill the walls with heating. But this type of heating is local heating. So they switch it on when they want. It gets hot very quickly. It's keeping Leonie warm at the back there. And it is just localized heating. So again, it's the right type of heating for what sort of heat you want and the area where you're working. Hey, go on, Leonie. Sorry about that.
So we had a question in the chat. This is from Kevin. And Kevin has said he's on cheap overnight. I think it's 12 to 6 hourly rate.
Economy 7 type heating.
How do do our products work within these hours to save him money?
We are not a long-term storage solution like some of the nice storage heaters out there. And we're quite upfront about this, to be perfectly honest. We are a short-term storage, or I would say medium-term storage, because there is short storage, but we are a medium-term storage. So if you was to use it between the hours of 12 and 7, and you was to set the temperature quite high, because you're getting cheap electricity, you will warm the fabric of the building, which is a phrase that's coined quite a lot in the industry. What that means is it'll get your walls warm, it'll get your sofa warm, it'll get other things that are in the room warm, and it'll warm everything up. You've all walked into a warm room before, and you can see what it's like. So we will do that. But when it comes to 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock, if it's economy 7, when that cheap stops, we will not hold heat for 6, 8, 10 hours. We're not designed to do that. We're designed to be a reactive radiator. So if we've got the radiator turned on, we will store heat, making the assumption that you want that heat given back to you quickly. So you're not prepaying for something that you're going to use, 14 hours later or 7 hours later, whatever it may be. We're more of a medium-term storage, and we respond quite quickly as well to demands. So you could use us that way, but our advice would be not to use you that way. It'd be our advice, if you want to come away from that type of heating or that type of heating system, is to come off that tariff, go onto a tariff which is going to match your lifestyle, and buy some radiators which will complement that tariff. Any more questions? I know there's some more questions, Leonie.
So Amy has said, why do some heating systems feel warm really quickly, but others take longer, even if they're using the same amount of electricity?
There is products on the marketplace that are classed as like direct acting radiators. So what simply happens is you turn the radiator on. They've got some coils running through the radiators. They warm up very, very quickly, and they give you the illusion of instant heat. Well, it is instant heat, if you want to call it that way. It's not an illusion. You get warm air come out of the top. And that is very instant product. You have got other radiators that have got a thermal block in the middle. So some will warm up quickly. Some will take a little bit longer, depending on how thick that block is. Obviously, the thicker the block, the longer it's going to take to warm up before it starts discharging heat. And that's basically it, really. That's really simple. And they'll all be 1 kilowatt in, 1 kilowatt out. It all depends on how they actually destratify the room. That is, mix all the air up. Some will do it quickly, some won't do it quickly, depending if they're radiant radiators or if they're convection-based radiators. And what I mean by that is radiant radiators do what the sun does. It radiates heat, so heat passes heat directly out in front of it. And you've got convection radiators, which actually pull the cold air in at the base of the radiator, which is the coldest part of the room. That comes in at the base of the radiator. They warm the air up as it passes over the radiator, and they pass out warm, hot air. So you're mixing the air up very, very effectively. I hope that answers that question for you.
So Jonathan has asked, is heating comfort more about temperature, heat distribution, or the way the heat's delivered?
I would say all three. So heating comfort is about you being in a room with air that's to your standard for comfort. That could be 21 degrees, that could be 18 degrees. But you've got an even distribution of heat. What you haven't got is cold air at the floor below the knees. You've got warm air up to this point, and then you've got hot air up there. First of all, that hot air is wasted. It's going nowhere. It's just going to leak out the ceiling, leak out the room. Whereas what you want is a good mix of air. And you will only get that from a product which is designed, purposely designed to mix the air up as effectively as possible. The faster it mixes the air up, the faster it will turn the thermostat off, the more money you'll save. So
Alan has asked, what type of property do you find the most challenging to heat effectively?
The hardest ones, I suppose, is, I say these churches, larger buildings, they're obvious because they've got massive ceilings. But we do some. The other ones are retrofit properties. Properties from the 60s, the 70s, because they weren't designed with great insulation, and sometimes to put a fabric first approach can be quite costly for customers, because in order to build a great warm house that can stay warm with minimal amount of cost put in place, it's expensive. When you start doing internal wall insulation, You know, you're insulating the loft again. You're getting 300 mil up there, 270 whatever it may be. And all these other things that you have to put in place can be very, very expensive before you even get to the heating. So some people they just dive in and get the heating done first, which is, as I mentioned before, it cannot be sometimes the best way of doing it. But if you can afford even simple things like getting draft excluders on each of the doors, and you can get these days that will just slide on there permanently. Putting secondary glazing in during the winter months, not during the summer months and everything else, but during the winter months when you're never going to open the window anyway to get heat, and just take it down in the sun down. Our R&D manager at Hale, they do this in India quite a lot. When it gets to winter, they block up the windows with these secondary double glazed, and they have a store where they put them in the summertime, where they put them all away and then they bring them back out. Sensible way to do it, because you still get all the light, but you stop a lot of the heat escaping through the windows, through the property. How are we doing, Leonie?
So we've had
echoes in here as well. Echoes.
We've had a message from John who has asked what is the size of our 1.6 kilowatt radiators?
The size of your 1.6 kilowatt radiators is, I'm looking for one, that's what you can see me doing, is 70 centimeters wide and about 65 centimeters high. And if I add one, bear with me. If I add one, it's this big, and you can see this has got a wave pattern on the front. It's this thick. There's got no sides and there's no top on this. You can see all the convection fluids at the front, and that's the back with all the dimples that are put in place and the holes. So that's about 70 centimeters. As a unit, there's no bricks in this. Obviously, it's very, very light compared to mild steel. But yeah, 70 to 65, the 6.5. That was a Blue Peter moment then, wasn't it? I've got something on hand I can show you. So what would you any more questions?
So we've probably got time for one more question. So Sarah has asked, what are 3 biggest things homeowners can do to reduce heating costs without sacrificing comfort?
Again, insulation, draft excluders, secondary double glazing. A funny thing, just like turning the temperature down on your thermostat by a couple of degrees. I did a test the other day in one of the offices where we had some of the marketing people that were in there. And I went in and I asked them the temperature. And they come back and they said, oh, we think it's about 18 degrees, 20 degrees, somewhere around there. Actually, it wasn't. It was 24 degrees. And they didn't notice the difference between what was the 24 and the 18. So I took I came away from there and I altered the thermostat. And I went back into them later in the afternoon and I says, what do you think the temperature is now? So they said, oh, I don't know, 24, 23, 20 degrees. And reduced the thermostat temperature by 4 degrees. And they still couldn't, distinguish what was the right temperature or wasn't the right temperature. So just by dropping a couple of degrees, we'll save you a load of money on your heating bill. And you won't sacrifice comfort. So yeah, just have a go at that. Throughout the property, if you've got 5 or 6 rooms, just turn it down a couple in each one, especially rooms that are unoccupied. There's no point having one bedroom if there's nobody in them bedrooms. Keep them at a comfortable temperature so you protect against mold and various other things. But yeah, have a go at those. All right, okay. I'm getting past things by a lovely Leonie there. I think that's us. Is that us, Leonie? I think that's us. That's us. Listen, whoever's coming today, thank you very, very much. I really appreciate it. We like to pass out the message that we can. We try to help where we can. The reason we do this is there is a lot of questions and unanswered questions out there in this industry. It is a very complicated industry, and there is every company in the land out there saying they're the best heaters and they've got this. We just try to make it a little bit more transparent, a little bit more vulnerable as a business, that we can try our best to answer some of the questions that are nagging, that you don't have the answers to. We can also do this with an engineer going around your property or one of the heating advisors going around your property. They will give you some really good sound advice. This is lots of appointments. They can do that. And if they can't help there, they will come back and find out what is the solution for you. They'll do the best. So yeah, really a big thank you for everybody. Anybody got any other questions after this, please email in or please call in. We'll do our best to answer it for you. And like I said, we'll keep going with this Ask the Inventor as long as we keep getting the demand for it. And we'll do what we can. Next week, or not next week, the week after, I'll try get our MD to come and join me in a more comfortable setting where they're not freezing with jackets on. Paula Leone out there, well, she was freezing, but she's keeping warm with the heaters. But yeah, once again, thank you very much for everybody. You can download this. I believe you can download this. Yep, you can download this, not a problem. And you can send it to people as well. Well, if there's anybody that wanted this, or we touched on a subject that may help them, you can just email that, download it and email it straight out to them as well. So that's us. Thank you very much. See you again in a week, 2 weeks. 2 weeks? 2 weeks. See you again in 2 weeks. Hopefully I have a load more questions. And in between that time, keep warm.
Just before we finish, Deborah has said that she's on her way back to France and she's going to get back in touch when she's home and come and give us a visit.
Deborah, flag it up. I'll come and have a cup of coffee with myself and we'll chat about your heating. Thank you very much for that last comment. Brilliant, brilliant.